There's an assumption that January is the reset button. All of a sudden, the calendar flips, and you're supposed to have clarity, discipline, and a whole new version of yourself. Sometimes, if you're not feeling that happening, it can feel like you're doing something wrong. This episode is not about setting resolutions, and it is most definitely not about having it all together. It's about unpacking assumptions about a brand new year and choosing the way forward that feels right for you. Welcome to season 2 of She's Probably Talking to Other Guys. I'm your host, Annie of the Banannie Diaries, and today's episode is, so, are we actually supposed to have it all together in January? We're going to discuss some assumptions that come along with a brand new year, as well as how we can try to set ourselves up for a high possibility of reaching our goals this year, whatever they may be. It also means that we're not going to just do new year, new me, because who says that you need a new me anyway? We're just going to keep continuing and thriving the best way that we see fit for our own lives. And yes, that also includes getting rid of other people's opinions on how they think we should be moving forward with our lives. Just a friendly reminder, I'm not a therapist, psychologist, or expert in human behavior. This is a judgment-free assumption checking zone. Take what resonates and leave the rest. We're going to jump right in with an assumption. The first one we're going to tackle today is that January is the best time to start over. That is a silly assumption to me because I don't think that just because it's a new year means that you have to start over in January. I think that you can wake up on any day of the year and decide that it's time for something new. Maybe it's time for a new adventure. Maybe you just want to make some adjustments or some changes. They don't have to be big changes. They can be smaller changes too. And I just think that to have a mindset that January is the month that it needs to happen could also sell yourself short a little bit, because what happens to all of the other weeks and all of the other days of the year where, for example, if it's August, you don't I don't want to wait from August all the way till January just to start fresh. I'm going to start fresh when I feel like I need to start fresh. And knowing me, that's probably going to be very quickly, because when I have an idea, I love to just get the ball rolling and get it happening. So, no, I don't believe that assumption is accurate, because personally, I think that any day you decide that you want to make some changes or start over, if you feel like start over is the phrase for you, I think you can make that decision any day of the year. Some other smaller assumptions that tie to January is the best time to start over would be, if you don't reset now, you're behind. And I think that this ties into some episodes from season 1 where we talked about how you are on your own timeline, regardless of what anyone else is doing. You're on your own path, you're on your own timeline, everything is happening how it should be for you. And just because you see something happening for someone else doesn't mean that you're not going to have what you want coming your way as well. And yes, that is, I think, a hard truth to kind of swallow in a sense, because sometimes we want something so bad, and then when we see other people getting it, we start to question, okay, well, what are we doing wrong? And I truly believe that sometimes it's not that you are doing something wrong, it's just that the timing's not right for you. And if the timing's not right, you could end up getting something that maybe you wanted really bad, but it might not work out for you because the timing's not right. And that's not something that anyone can control. And maybe it's something where you need to actually experience it for yourself to actually believe in the concept of having the right timing or things coming to you at the right time. But once I started really trusting in that process, it took a lot of unnecessary stress out of my life. was just to realize, okay, yay, let's clap for them because it's happening for them now. It doesn't mean that it's never going to happen for me, but I have to keep going in the best way that's right for me, regardless of what the outcome is going to be. And sometimes I think that that's really tricky to not understand, but to believe in and to continue believing in it because maybe you feel in this moment like you are ready, but there's something bigger happening that you don't know about. And maybe what's happening is actually better for you. That's another tricky piece, I think, is when you want something so bad, but maybe it's actually not something that you want at all and you just don't know yet. Or maybe something better than what you ever expected is going to come to you instead. And again, it's, I think, part of just living life and seeing what happens, working towards what you want, and then kind of deciding when different opportunities come about if you're going to dive into them or not, and just always making decisions that steer you down the path that you really want to go down. I think, especially with social media, it's very easy to see a lot of posts about people being locked in and this is your year, and maybe you're not feeling that, or maybe that's a bit, I'm going to use the word dramatic, not that it's wrong in any way, but some people might feel like that's a bit too much for them. Maybe they want a softer approach, and that's okay. However you approach it is up to you. Again, I just think that you know what your goals are and you just want to go after your own without being distracted by what everyone else is posting. Because I'm going to use this as an example. There was a post that came up the other day, and the hook had me like with my jaw dropped because I was like, what in the world? And for a second, I actually let it play me for a moment. It was something along the lines of, on someone's lunch break, they sent out 500 pitches, and I'm probably going to get the math wrong because I don't remember it exactly. Something about 50 brands responded, and that was equivalent to $75,000 within 30 minutes, right? So I'm looking at that and I'm like, I don't know about that. So come to find out that then in the caption, it was something along the lines of, like, wouldn't that be nice? Like, that's not the reality of it. But again, I think that we see things on social media and then we have these instant reactions to them. And my instant reaction was, are you kidding me? Like, when I have pitched to brands, most of the time they don't even answer, let alone being able to send 500 in 30 minutes, get immediate responses, and know that you're going to make $75,000. That is crazy. I think that sometimes things on social media are taken out of context. And if I didn't read the caption, I'm not sure what I would have left that post thinking about. Because initially my reaction was, there's no way. Like, that's not possible. And then when you read the caption, I realized, okay, that's obviously backing what my thought is. I'm not crazy. But I think that sometimes we don't dig into posts. We just swipe and we scroll and we get those immediate reactions. And a lot of times they make us feel bad about stuff. But that's a perfect example of there's nothing to feel bad about because it's not true. It was just a hook that someone was using. And I did recently share a post from a clip from She's Probably Talking to Other Guys season 1, I believe it was episode 3. And it was about how my social media is very real. Yes, it's still a highlight reel of sorts because I literally don't have enough phone storage to record everything that's happening in my life and show you everything that's happening in my life. But for example, today, yes, I have makeup on, I have jewelry on, I have really long nails on, but that's not how I always show up. And if you go to the YouTube version of my podcast, you'll see that. And for me, this is how I can share more of my life with you. I can get dolled up. I can do my makeup because I love doing makeup. I love wearing nails. I love all of these really feminine aspects of my life. But at the same time, I will totally post me in loungewear and a baggy hoodie and some baggy sweatpants. A lot of times I film with no makeup on. A lot of times I post with really bad lighting because, again, that's just real to me. So I'm going to share that with you. And I think that my whole point in bringing this up is that, for example, that post that I saw, the initial hook that I saw was not the whole picture. These videos are not the whole picture of what's happening in a creator's life. And I think that, at least with my experience and what people have told me, posts related to making money have this kind of negative feeling on people. And again, you're not seeing the whole picture. So you have creators posting that, oh, I made $12,000 this month, I made such and such this month, whatever it might be. But you just kind of get a little piece of their life, right? You're missing the rest of it. So, sure, they're saying that they made $12,000 this month, but you don't know anything else about these people. You don't know where that number's coming from. So, I think that as you go through, it's really important to keep in mind that you're not getting the whole picture, whether it's from a positive aspect of, I can't possibly record everything to show you, but I'm going to show you the pieces that I have recorded or the pieces that I want to share with you. Uh, I mean, yeah, I can't even think of a way that I could possibly record everything in my life to show you. That would be wild to just film 24/7. But my point with this is that you're not behind. You're not necessarily stuck. Not everybody is as locked in as they may say that they are, again, because you're not getting the whole picture, right? Some people mean exactly what they say and then they go after it, and your version in your mind of what locked in looks like might be what they're doing. But I truly believe that you can still be locked in and chasing your goals and doing them quietly too. I don't think that it has to be a loud process to be locked in and chase your goals. Let's talk about the reality of what January can be for a lot of people. I think that January can be emotionally heavy. You just made it through the holidays. There was so much going on. Then there's New Year's. And I will admit, I am someone where there have been things that have happened in my past right around the holidays. So for me, I still try to enjoy it, but I still have those memories in the back of my head of losing people that I loved and just some really unfortunate things that have happened around the time of the holidays. So, if you're feeling alone, you're not alone because there are so many people who are feeling the same way. And again, I think it's just about trying to find a way to move forward in a way that feels right to you. Right? Maybe you feel that you still need to honor those people if you have lost people, and that's okay. Maybe you're someone where you really just kind of want to forget about it and move on, and that's okay too. I just think that January can kind of be the leftovers of maybe what you didn't feel yet in December as all of these feelings and emotions were unpacking themselves. January can also be financially tight. It's the start of a new year. If you're someone who just went all out buying gifts for people, maybe you're on more of a budget every time January comes around. Money is 100% a stressful topic for a lot of people. So it's not always going to be the most positive month for some people for many aspects. Let's talk about how January can just kind of physically be slower. There are the people who feel like they need to go get a new gym membership and go crazy. There's also people who are just exhausted. It's the winter, and if you're in an area where it's freezing cold, like I am, a lot of times that kind of just makes you want to snuggle up and kind of get your work done in a more cozy kind of way. There can be burnout from the holidays. There can still just be exhaustion from whatever your holiday plans were. At the end of the day, I think that it's important to remember that not everyone feels that they need to start over in January. Some people are just recovering. Some people are doing their own thing with whatever feels best for them. And again, this is trying to exclude other people's thoughts and opinions on things. I, for example, for no reason whatsoever, have managed to have an amazing opportunity come my way the first few days into January. That was not my intention. That was not planned at all. It just happened, and it was something that really intrigued me. And I was like, all right, let's do this. This is cool. This is what I want to try. If we go back a month ago, at the beginning of December when I was planning out my year, this wasn't even a thought in my mind, but it presented itself and I was thinking in my head, okay, this has significantly more pros than cons, and I'm going to go for it. Also, I'm going to point out that I know that there are things that are going to come along with this that I'm going to have to deal with, things that I've been pushing off for a while. We're not going to get into that right now, but there's going to be emotions that are going to come back. There's going to be some feelings that are going to come back. And I say that right now that I'm prepared to deal with them, but we're going to have to see what happens when the time comes. But the best thing that I can tell myself right now is not to care about anyone who's going to have a reaction to this when an announcement is made. Because for me, I had it in the back of my mind so much about what other people would think if I was to do this. And probably subconsciously that stopped me from doing this much sooner than I have right now. But, it's kind of a constant idea of I can't sit back and miss out on things in my life because I'm worried about what other people are going to say about it. Because they're not nice people anyway, the people that I'm thinking about. So I really shouldn't care what they have to say because I don't really care about their opinion anyway, because I would never want to be like them. Put it that way. I try not to care about people's opinions when I literally never want to be like them, or I never want to live my life like them. And it's hard, especially, I'm a recovering people pleaser. So it's very tricky to kind of get those thoughts out of your mind, but it is possible if you work really hard at it. I'm going to tell you that from personal experience. Assumption number 2. Starting over means changing everything. And we're going to disagree with that assumption as well, because starting over doesn't mean that you need to get rid of everything that you've ever done. It doesn't mean that you need to get rid of parts of yourself that you really love. It definitely does not mean that you need to change everything. You can change bits and pieces of things. You can look at your life, you can evaluate it, you can kind of go in and make some decisions based off of what you want to see in your life moving forward. Maybe things that you've been doing will need to go away. Maybe you can just build on some other things that you have been working on, but it doesn't mean that everything has to go away. You do not need, unless you want it, you don't need all brand new routines. You don't need a new body. You don't need a new mindset. You don't need a new life. I think that sometimes there's this thought that it's January 1st. Now you need to show up and you need to be almost unrecognizable, literally creating a brand new you. And again, unless that is one of your goals for the new year, you can kind of let go of that pressure because you don't need to change everything about your life. You can just pick the bits and pieces that you do really want to change and then go from there. I think that a lot of growth happens in smaller pieces. Yes, you can have a massive change, but I believe that there's truly a lot of smaller pieces that come along with it. For example, I have a massive change happening right now. Now that I know what that massive shift is, I need to make smaller adjustments towards other pieces of my life in order to make the big change happen or to make it happen smoothly. So right now I'm going through just the tinier pieces of what needs to be done and what needs to be adjusted in order to make the bigger picture happen. We mentioned a little bit about the thought of the new year, meaning that it's new year, new me. Personally, I don't love that phrase of new year, new me. You don't need to completely get rid of who you were. I think that there's bits and pieces of maybe a past self that you don't want anymore. I know for me that was the case. I wanted to change some aspects of my life, so there were pieces that I completely got rid of because I didn't want it anymore. There are also some other pieces of me that I would never want to get rid of, no matter what version or what era I'm currently in. So again, this is very individual. You need to really go through different pieces and determine what parts of your life fit your future. And it's not always an easy answer, but again, I'm a big believer in your gut feeling and trusting in your gut when it comes to friends who you surround yourself with, opportunities, just general safety overall. I'm a big believer in trusting your gut feeling. If you want some thoughts on how to approach making changes in a smaller capacity, you could start by setting one boundary. Maybe that's something that's been on your mind about needing to set some boundaries in your life, not necessarily with people, but in general. You could start by setting one, see how it goes. You don't have to make a whole 360 of your life with all these boundaries, but you could do one at a time and see how it goes. You could also maybe think of one habit that you want to change. Maybe you have a bad habit and you want to get rid of it. You can take steps towards that one habit and change it. You don't need to go cold turkey on like 10 habits. I mean, I hope for you, you don't have 10 bad habits, but I'm not judging you if you do. I have bad habits too that I need to let go of. Try to forgive yourself for one thing. I know some things constantly haunt me and pop into my mind. And for me, I need to not be so hard on myself when those thoughts come in. I need to kind of let them appear, tell them where they should go, which usually involves the F word. And then move on and keep going, and then just know that it's probably going to pop in my head again in the future. But I think that for me, a coping mechanism is just to stop the thought in its tracks and redirect my mindset about it. Because some of them are just crazy thoughts. Like the other day, for example, I had sent someone a message and it was something I was really nervous about. Very, very nervous. And they read the message, but then they didn't respond for like an hour. And that hour felt like the longest hour of my life because the longer it took them to respond, the longer I was like, oh no, they're not receiving this well. I'm not sure what they're going to say. In previous episodes in season 1, I got a little bit into how in the past I dealt with a lot of rumors that were started about me that were not true whatsoever. During that hour, even some of that came back in, like, oh my goodness, what if they heard what so-and-so said, da 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 da. And then once they responded, everything was totally fine and it was good to go. So I'm going to give you that as an example of trying not to let these thoughts creep into your mind and completely change your outlook on something. Because in my case, everything was fine. And the paranoia that I had, literally, there was really nothing for me to even be paranoid about because that wasn't even happening within this conversation. Let's give you a mindset if you're struggling with the concept of either new year, new me, or feeling like you need to redo everything in your life all at once. So starting over does not mean you have to become someone else. Those two are not the same. One of the phrases that I like is you're not starting over from scratch. You're not starting from the beginning. You're starting over with experience. You're starting over with knowledge. You're starting over with so much more information about what you're trying because now you've experienced more and you've had more life lessons. So you're not starting over from scratch. You technically aren't really starting over because now you have so much more information. You're just starting from a new level. And I think that that's very important into why you should not throw everything away because it's not starting from scratch. You know more now. You have more information now. You've lived more life experiences now. It is not the same as starting from the beginning. Another thought is that maybe starting over can just really mean you're choosing yourself again. Maybe you got a little lost along the way, regardless of what it was. And maybe it's time for you to either come back to yourself or to put yourself first. I know a lot of people that I've spoken with who have people-pleasing tendencies. They had like this moment where they realized how much they were letting other people influence their decisions instead of making the decision that ultimately would make them happy in the first place. So you can also think of it that you're not starting over, you're just choosing yourself instead of other people. So you're choosing yourself this time around, which is a beautiful thing. Assumption number 3. If you're still single, you are lost, you're uncertain, or you're just doing dating wrong. I don't like that at all. I think that there are some people who are single for a lot of different reasons. In my past experience, I did learn that some people were very single for very unfortunate reasons, in the sense that they're just really not nice people. So that's something that I definitely learned. But in more of a, I feel like, a relatable topic, you're not necessarily doing anything wrong. If you choose to be single, that is a whole decision that is up to you. Not everybody actually wants a partner. And I think that that's something that some people don't get, is maybe you're choosing to be single for whatever reason, maybe not forever, but I do think that there are people who choose to be single forever as well. January tends to, again, because we came right off of the holidays, you have the nosy family members who are asking, why you didn't bring a significant other home for the holidays, or just getting nosy about your dating life, or asking, oh, when are you going to have kids? A lot of people come off of those conversations from December. And I just think that it can make you overthink a lot about your life, especially if you're someone who's single, who has been trying to find someone or has been trying to jump in the dating pool. January can definitely make you question things. I think that another conversation that is related to this comes with age, age milestones. People expect certain things to happen in your life by a certain age, which I can't stand any of that. I don't like when people assume that just because you're a certain age, all of these other things should have happened for you by now. That is very much not my vibe. I am not a fan. That thought can creep in about you should be so much further along in your life than you are right now. And that's, again, not true. Everyone's on their own timeline. When it comes to being single, feeling lost, feeling uncertain, those are all normal. I would question someone who says that they've never been lost, they've never felt uncertain about anything. That for me would actually be, I don't know if I want to call it a red flag. Can we say it's a gray flag? Because that would just be confusing to me, to have a conversation with someone who claims that they've never been lost or they've never been uncertain in their life. I don't know that I could vibe with something like that. I think that it's completely normal to feel lost. It's completely normal to feel uncertain. If you want to relate with someone, find someone who runs their own business. There are so many times I feel so lost running my own business, and I just keep my visuals of, okay, these are my goals. This is what we're going towards. So even though in this moment I'm feeling very lost and uncertain, there is still so much to do that I can put my energy into, instead of kind of fueling this thought of feeling lost or feeling uncertain. Back to the concept of being single. Maybe you're someone who's been trying really hard. Maybe you're on some dating apps. Maybe you've had some failed setups for dating. Not everyone is going to have the most amazing friends to set you up with. I personally have never been on a dating app before. I know a lot of people, friends and family, who have found love on dating apps. I think that it's something that's very common these days. But if you're someone who has been very unlucky on a dating app, I don't think that that means it's over for you. I truly believe in people come into your life at different points and at different times. And maybe it could be someone where you're just friends now, but maybe later on something's going to develop. You never know. Maybe someone came into your life in a workplace setting. I mean, the possibilities are truly endless. I know of a love story where literally someone cut in line in front of them at, I don't know if it was Starbucks, I'm not really sure. And now they're literally married. All because she cut in front of him in line at a coffee shop. I mean, there are so many ways that you can meet someone that you're going to end up being with. For me personally, I think that in that situation, I would take a look at how I can better myself to make myself love myself more instead of being so worried about someone who's going to love me. I think I would focus on the ways that I could love myself more. Because again, at the end of the day, I'm someone, maybe it's from ballroom dancing, I don't know, but I'm someone where I don't like the concept of being 50-50. I like the concept of being 100 and 100 and then coming together. So, for example, in ballroom dancing, I'm not going to do 50% of the work and then wait for my dance partner to do the other 50% of it. I'm going to show up at 100% and I fully expect that he's going to show up at 100% and then we're going to work together. And I think that that's something that I expect in every aspect of my life. If I'm going to work with you, I don't want you to necessarily show up and wait for me to complete the task. I want you to complete what you're supposed to, and I'm going to do my part, and then we're going to come together. But also, in a sense, don't take that wrong where I wouldn't help someone. I would absolutely help someone if they needed help to kind of get to that 100% as well. But again, just kind of that thought in my mind, I'm very much 100% or nothing. I'm going to show up, I'm going to do what I need to do, and then we're going to figure this out together. So maybe my ballroom dancing has influenced how I feel about certain topics. It is very possible, considering that is literally what my life revolves around. All right, let's do some reality checks on the assumption of if you're still single, you're lost, you're uncertain. Just because you're in a transition period, it doesn't mean you're behind, and it doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. If you're going from being in a relationship to figuring out how to be single, or maybe the opposite, you've been single for so long and now you're trying to figure out how to be in a relationship, whatever the concept is, that transition period of whatever you're going through, it doesn't mean that you have to be lost or confused or behind on anything. This is your journey. You are figuring out this transition as it is happening. And this goes for more than just relationships too. There's a lot of clarity that can be found in periods of uncertainty. I can 100% speak on that for sure from personal experience. There have been times where if I didn't sit back and reflect on what was happening, or something came crashing down and in the moment it was devastating, but if that crashing down point didn't happen, I couldn't say that I would have had the reflection time that it turns out that I really needed. So things might seem really bad in the moment. Sometimes I find that it helps step away from that, and I find clarity within these moments where I thought everything was going to be 100% terrible. I mean, some of it was terrible, but then again, there's that silver lining. And I actually had that conversation with someone the other day about a silver lining that came out of a very terrible situation. I think that related to this is comparison can be a very dangerous subject, because when you start to compare yourself, especially at, again, the end of the year, people are posting their highlight reels, people are posting highlights from every single month all the way through the end of the year. Then you kind of look at that and you have this thought of comparing yourself to, oh my gosh, their year looked so fun. What the heck did I do? Or whatever the case may be. It's again, that concept, comparison is the thief of joy. Whatever comparison quotes you want to use, try your best not to compare yourself, even though it's a normal thing and quite possibly everyone does it. We're ending this assumption with you can be single and you can still be fulfilled in your life. You can be unsure and you can still be aligned with your future. And you can be in a period of rest, but you can still be growing. So those are all concepts that can be happening simultaneously, whether you realize it or not. Assumption number 4. Motivation comes first. There's a lot of talk about motivation, and I'm someone where I don't know that I necessarily believe in motivation all the time. I think that yes, it's nice to see a quote. It's nice to see motivational posts, but I don't want it all the time. Sometimes I feel like there's just so many motivational quotes and so many posts about motivation and finding motivation or getting motivation or whatever it is that I just can't take it. And sometimes I find myself not necessarily unfollowing. I mean, sometimes, but sometimes it's just too much motivational positivity everywhere. and I need to step away from that. That's personally how I feel is motivation does not always come first. Sometimes you need to act on something and then realize that you're onto something, and there's your motivation. But you wouldn't have realized that you were onto something if you didn't act first in the moment. I don't believe that motivation comes first. I think that it's nice if it does, but I don't know that I could necessarily think of a moment where my motivation fueled an entire idea. I'm sitting here thinking, I can't really think of that. I also, you have to keep in mind, have been around people in ballroom dancing or in kind of the fitness workout perspective where a lot of people in those fields don't necessarily rely on motivation, or they don't focus on motivation. They focus on discipline, and they focus on what your goal is and how we're going to get there. But again, the motivation comes from acting on it. The motivation comes from actually setting a goal in the first place. So my thought on that assumption is that it is not accurate. I'm not someone who believes in motivation coming first. I'm not someone who necessarily finds motivation from somewhere and then decides to pursue something. In my life, a lot of opportunities have come up, and then I need to make the decision to act on them, and then motivation is there. Because if I choose that I'm going to do something, now I need to actually do it. And that's where my motivation is it was from the choice to pursue something. I think something that is also a reality of this concept of motivation is that some of the seasons you go through in life are more about being consistent. You're not necessarily going to find a, if we call it, reward throughout your entire journey. You're not necessarily going to get a little gold medal every time you achieve something. And again, I think that there is that mentality of people wanting to feel some type of reward in a sense for completing something, or they want a title because they've achieved something. I personally wouldn't want that to be my motivation, is to get a ribbon or to get a trophy. I think that also as time goes on, you kind of learn more about why you do things. But I've never been someone where, and again, ballroom dancing is probably coming into mind, I've never been someone where I feel like everyone deserves a medal or everyone deserves a trophy just for showing up. I think that a lot is said for people who are really putting effort in and really trying and putting in the work behind what's happening. When it comes to being consistent, a lot of times with consistency, you don't see the results right away. So you may not be getting these little pieces of motivation that you're looking for. You just have to keep going and trusting the process that if you keep doing this and you have your plan, that it's gonna work out. So again, there's really no motivation in that, because there are so many times when, you show up at practice and something that was working amazing yesterday, all of a sudden it's just not working today. And there's like no form of motivation in that whatsoever. It can be very demotivating, if that's a word. I'm not someone where I can have a really substantial conversation with someone about how much I love motivation, because I don't really focus on it. Let's do a quick reframe. If you feel like you're constantly surrounded by positive motivation or the people who want you to be motivated, you can think to yourself, how can I show up today to achieve something, even if it's small? Or how can I show up today to be consistent, regardless of what the results are going to be? How can I just do something, either small or big, that's going to help with my consistency on whatever you're working on? You can also completely normalize not necessarily being in the most positive mindset or having the most positive attitude on things all the time. I'm not someone where I'm completely positive all the time, and I think that that's totally okay. Keep in mind, if you're working on something and you're not feeling too great about it, that's okay. You can let those feelings flow. One of my favorite phrases from my Mental Health Matters collection is, it's okay to feel your feelings. Don't feel bad just because you're not excited about something. maybe that's a sign. Your lack of excitement could be a sign that you're maybe not so into something, or maybe it's a sign that you need to do a little bit more thinking before you get yourself involved in something. Think about your feelings and the initial feelings that certain topics or opportunities, whatever you want to call it, what those feelings are when you think about those things, or what those feelings are that come about when you're in the midst of working on something. Your feelings are important and they can give you a lot of insight into what is actually happening. Let's start to wrap up about what starting over can actually look like. Starting over, first of all, can be choosing yourself. Maybe you have been people pleasing for a while and making decisions based off of what you think other people want you to do, whatever the situation may be. It can just be something as simple as saying no to something. Maybe you've said yes to things for a while and knowing that maybe you didn't even want to do them in the first place. You can start by saying no. You can start by setting up little boundaries, whatever it might be. You can start by just choosing yourself in big ways or small ways, whatever works for you. You can choose to rest without feeling guilty. There are so many people in my life who, and I did adapt this mindset at one point, which again, learning lesson, they would feel bad for taking a day off from work. And there would just be tremendous guilt the entire time because they actually used their vacation time and took a day off. I think that whatever the version of rest is that you need, you can rest without feeling guilty, because an empty battery isn't going to get you places. When your phone is low on battery, you charge it. And the same concept with yourself. If you are feeling low, you need to do things or relax in ways that make you feel better about yourself, that give you some energy and give you time to become yourself again in the best way possible. We're going to talk about social media for a second. We're going to unfollow some accounts that make us feel that we're behind constantly. I think that something that's very important is keeping track of what you take in during the day. There is so much happening, especially when you're scrolling. I mean, there are accounts where I thought they were great when I found them, and then the more that I go through them for quotes and things like that, I'm like, I'm not really sure. I don't think that I really love the vibe anymore, and I'm going to get rid of it. I'm not going to follow them anymore. Or maybe there are some people who make you always feel like your life's not together, but theirs is. And that makes you feel bad. If following someone makes you feel bad about yourself, maybe you shouldn't be following them. Because if you're not constantly taking in that information, then maybe you're just not going to have those feelings about feeling bad about yourself, or like you're on the wrong track. So don't feel bad about unfollowing people. FYI, if you don't want to unfollow them, you can also just mute them. I mute people all the time. I have also unfollowed a lot of people. It took me a while to do it, but I did go through and I unfollowed certain people who were just not really in my life anymore and stressing me out every time I saw them. Redefine your version of success. They can be small goals that end up building into something. They can be a massive set of goals you're trying to reach. Whatever it is, just redefine what success looks like for you right now. Because it might not be what you thought your success was going to be years ago. I know that that's my case for sure. It's kind of changes as time goes on, and that's okay. I'm someone who welcomes change. I didn't always love it, but I'm someone who welcomes change, welcomes new opportunities, says yes to the ones that fit in with my life, says no to the ones that maybe don't. And also keep in mind, it's okay to change your mind. There are some things that I thought was going to be my path. Like I 100% thought that they were going to be my path. And then when the time came, I was like, actually, I really don't like how this is going. This is really not something that I want in my life. And people are going to be confused. People are going to make up rumors about you. People are going to talk about you, but it's your life. It's not theirs. And if there's anything that I learned, you have to make decisions that are going to be right for you, because you're the one who's going to have to deal with them. Let's do a little affirmation to close out the episode. So your affirmation is, I didn't miss my moment. I'm allowed to begin quietly. Whatever it is that you're thinking of trying, if it's on your mind repeatedly, maybe figure out a way to finally try it or to finally go for it. If you're feeling behind, it's just a thought that's creeping in your head. You can choose to act on it so you don't necessarily have that feeling of being behind, you can completely shut that thought out if you're able to. I just think that you need to choose you and you need to choose what's going to work best for you. And if you're feeling like you're behind in January, this episode is proof in a way that you're not, because there's a lot of people who feel this way, which is why we're talking about it in the first place. So you are certainly not alone, for sure. Thank you so much for tuning in to season 2, episode 1 of She's Probably Talking to Other Guys. You can follow along on Spotify. This podcast is also on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. The handle on social media is at spttog podcast, because She's Probably Talking to Other Guys is too long of a handle for most platforms. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here, and I cannot wait to chat with you as the year goes on.